former President Trump was banned. If he came back, ran for office again, and was elected president, would you allow him back on the platform?
So the way our policies work, when you're removed from the platform, you're removed from the platform, whether you're a commentator, you're a CFO, or you are a former or current public official. And so remember, our policies are designed to make sure that people are not inciting violence. And if anybody does that, we have to remove them from the service, and our policies don't allow people to come back.
The CFO of Twitter saying that even if Trump tried to run again for president, not going to be back on Twitter. He's off Twitter forever. We have a former president of the United States who has some of the most powerful companies in the world actively working against so that he cannot share his message. And for the people who say, oh, they're private companies, yeah, what about all the regulations on other companies? What about common carrier regulation? What about the phone lines? The internet is how we communicate now. It's not okay for some individuals to control it. But if you're woke, you don't care that it's suppressing people. In fact, you like that it's suppressing people. You think it's great. This is how your side wins. This is how they won the election. The election was absolutely stacked in favor of Biden for a number of reasons. One of them is that you had social media companies actively collude to suppress information against their preferred candidate. I mean, they might as well have been getting a paycheck from the DNC with the Hunter Biden story. We all saw it. We all know it. This is what we are up against now. Yes, there's the election, which is certainly important, and we have lost, and Joe Biden is now president. But there's also the control of institutions and how they're now forcing people. We often talk about the brainwashing and the way that there's this ideological pressure on people to conform. But it's more than that. It's financial pressure. It's bringing professional pressure to bear. You know, you could lose access to critical communication platforms. Maybe they decide that they're going to kick you off their banking service. Maybe you can't get a credit card anymore from a certain company if you speak out too much in the wrong way. And who decides what's wrong? Oh, these little quizzling fact checkers behind the scenes working in concert with the social media companies. All they're doing is laundering their censorship. That's all that is. But if you ask questions about this, they punish you, just like they do in authoritarian regimes. I mean, the difference what you're seeing right now between how authoritarianism works in America versus how it's been in other places at other times is here it's a soft authoritarianism in that all the inducements are for you to comply. Right now it's carrots, not really sticks. There are some sticks, but it's really mostly carrots. But that's powerful enough. But we're going to see that change over time because they're going to become convinced that they are the final arbiters of truth as they have been doing over the last year. You've seen this already with the COVID lockdowns, with Joe Biden, with Donald Trump, with the biggest issues of public debate. They think they have a finality when it comes to truth that is absurd. But this is what the left embraces. This is where they are. Here's another example of this. Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, not all that bright, but notice what happens when she's asked a question about trans girls competing in girls' sports. Play 3.
On President Biden's transgender rights executive action, specifically when it applies to high school sports. What message would the White House have for trans girls and cis girls who may end up competing against each other and sparking some lawsuits and some concern among parents? So does the administration have guidance for schools on dealing with disputes arising over trans girls competing against and with cis girls?
I'm not sure what your question is.
The president's executive order.
I'm familiar with the order, but what was your question about it?
My question is, does the president have a message for local school officials on dealing with these kind of disputes that are already starting to arise between, trans girls who are competing and cis girls and a level playing field, particularly in high school sports when it leads to college scholarships? Is there any kind of messaging or clarification that the White House wants to give on the executive order?
I would just say that the president's belief is that trans rights are human rights, and that's why he signed that executive order. And in terms of the determinations by universities and colleges, I would certainly defer to them.
See that? Trans rights are human rights. Shut up with your question. Right from the White House. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.